Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covered. Three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, Armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, fellow B Plus players, welcome to the B Plus Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Tuesday. You know what that means. You don't really, because it's bonus episode day, and we do all kinds of weird things on bonus episode days. And today we are talking some live Aussie wrestling. Joining me to help me with that is the man behind Potato and Receipt, who has also written some amazing articles for us on the bplus.com. Dan, how are you, Dan?
Wonderful, Greg. And hello to the B Plus players out there. What a week for Aussie Grapps it was last week.
Oh man, it's surreal. That's what I said. I just surreal. I think Robbie captured it in our first interview. He was like, "This year's just been surreal, man." It's insane that we were watching wrestling that was happening in Melbourne, and we were watching it live, like we'd watch Monday Night Raw.
That's it. Or like New Japan, jumping on New Japan World to watch the Tag League, for example. You could go and just stream 2 shows on a Wednesday and a Thursday night and beam it live into your house. As you said, surreal. Nailed it.
Yeah, it's because, I mean, these are guys that I go to shows to watch, and some of them are guys that I've literally flown to Melbourne to watch compete, and now I get to watch them on my computer from home. Well, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's right. And I've seen Logan Gray, for example, on EPW on demand from the Vault, and to actually be able to beam him live, and catch him in that scramble match, it was fantastic. Along with all the amazing Melbourne talent, I get unfortunate enough to see Robbie Eagles on PWA shows. So, but to get that live element with the other motley crew was amazing.
Yeah, well, I think that's where it is with wrestling too. I mean, you don't want to read results with Melbourne City Wrestling and EPW and Schwa and a couple of others that I subscribe to, PWA as well for me because I'm not in Sydney anymore. I wait for them to come on demand on the Vimeo service, on the pwaplay.com, etc. And just having that extra element of like, I don't have to wait for it to come on demand. I don't have to, even though it's only a week usually that you have to wait. I just sit down and this is more towards the WrestleRampage show, especially. WrestleRampage, their shows come out about a week later on Vimeo, but they decided to jump on the momentum that was started by OneFall. So we'll go through it. Basically, there's this service that has apparently just come to people's attention this week called Cleeng.
Yeah, that's right. It's allowed us to pay $10 and get the live feed, which is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and so props to OneFall Entertainment for finding this service and for bringing this service to people's attention, because OneFall were the first ones to do it.
They've found a good service, and then, as you said, WrestleRampage have jumped on the bandwagon. I saw from the B Plus they shared the post from WrestleRampage that they'd be streaming it, and I thought, well, there's my Saturday night set.
Yeah, so it's just crazy, and so now that WrestleRampage have jumped on board and shown, so it was one of those things where, to me, OneFall, this episode that we're doing right now, this talk we're having, was originally going to be just a OneFall review. And then WrestleRampage just out of nowhere I think it was on Friday night. They were like, by the way, tomorrow's show is going to be live streamed. And I was like, that's amazing. I was supposed to go to the show, and right up until about 4:00 in the afternoon, I was scheduled to go to the show, but because of some babysitter issues combined with the fact that my PlayStation account charged earlier than it was supposed to, I wasn't able to actually go to, I mean, I would have been able to, but like just spending wise with my budget, I'm flying up to Sydney this week for PWA. So it just didn't make sense to spend the $50 or $60. Cause when I saw the shirts as well that were on sale, the new Nick Golfus and Rat Daddy shirts, I would have spent a lot of money at that show. So I ended up spending $10 and sitting at home with some popcorn and watching it instead. And it's just an amazing service. Amazing things are happening in Australian wrestling.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. What a great week for Aussie Grapps, as I said. It's just, it's unheard of previously. As you said, watching things on demand, has been the norm. To actually go and be able to catch the live stream, incredible stuff.
Yeah, upping the accessibility. I know that some friends of mine from the UK were even tuned in to a couple of these. So, it's insane that these things are just beaming out into the universe for everyone to catch. And let's start talking about the actual content, shall we? We'll start with OneFall because they are the progenitors of live streaming Australian wrestling content.
Yeah, let's start there.
A special shout out to Iron Fist Pro, who streamed 2 of their matches live when they had their first show. They streamed the 2 main events, AJ Istria and Adam Brooks, and Jonah Rock and Hideki Suzuki. They streamed them live on Facebook, which is a little different to this. I mean, this is a whole show experience, but shout out to them as well for kind of getting the ball rolling.
Oh, 100%. As much live Aussie Grapps as we can get, that'd be amazing. That'd be, just to be able to tune in and experience it with the crowd.
Yeah, well, getting on the hashtags too, that's something else I think it's like a condition of signing up with Cleeng, it looks like, because they have right there built into the player, use this hashtag, talk about the show.
Yeah. I noticed that with Studio Superstars, and then, with WrestleRampage as well. So, they were picking up the tweets that we were putting out into the universe and putting them into the feed. So
it makes it a very interactive, responsive, live. It's where it's at, man. I'm so stoked on wrestling this week. So OneFall Entertainment, they're the progenitors. Let's start with them. What did you think of the overall presentation?
Look, for their first live show, there were some little technical issues here and there that we can look at if you want, but overall, I was entertained, definitely, and that just goes to how deep that roster is, and the talent that they're putting out there. But in terms of the technical stuff, I mean, that the opening when we sort of joined the stream and we could see Crackerjack, showing off his muscles and things like that.
Which was entertaining in and of itself.
True. Absolutely. But there are a few things here and there, like the crosses and things like that as well, and the nameplates and stuff. But ultimately, the wrestling, which is what we're there for, I thought it was really good. What did you think, Craig?
Yeah, so I'm in a similar boat. I wrote reviews for Night 1 and Night 2 on the bplus.com that people can check out. I'm in a similar boat. I felt like the technical issues were, in one sense, entirely understandable, because this is a show that's being put together by students at RMIT.
And that's right. That's what people have to remember, that, it's at the RMIT studios. They got the students involved. The interview that you had with OneFall, they were talking about how you could actually take part by getting a membership. So, I think, having students work on these things is really good. But there may be things that might go wrong in a live setting. That's just the reality of live TV, right?
Absolutely. And these are people who are learning. And some of them might not even be film students necessarily. It's kind of like an AV club, is what Chris was saying in that interview that you referenced. So it's like you said, anyone can sign up. I think it's cheaper for students, but anyone in Melbourne can sign up. So I want to encourage anyone who wants to shit talk, for example. Let's just put it out there. Instead of shit talking, how about you sign up, join the crew, and help make it better?
That's right.
Right? Like, actions. Actions speak louder.
Oh, 100%. It's easy to throw hand grenades, but it's a lot harder to actually get in there and work on it yourself. Because I don't want to be too harsh on them at all, because I think it's really admirable what they've done. Really admirable.
I agree. And you know what? At the end of the day, if RMIT don't continue with the project, or if anything like that was to happen, touch wood, we want as much Aussie wrestling out there as we can. We want good talent being able to have platforms to show what they can do. But if nothing else, they've brought the idea of live streaming entertainment to Aussie Grapps.
Yeah,
which it's a contribution. So
no, 100%. I remember seeing a tweet from Concrete Davidson a couple of months ago, sort of imploring TV networks to pick up Australian wrestling. Well, this is the first step. So
yeah, if these things grow to a point where there's enough people watching, then definitely other your more traditional networks and stuff will kind of take notice, I think.
Oh, definitely. There's definitely a market out there. I mean, look at how many fans went to Super Showdown and go to the live WWE shows when they come out. So, if they get their eyes on the Australian product and see how good it is, there's definitely potential. Definitely.
But I do think that it has to be the right product as well, which I think we'll get to in this discussion. So, in terms of the One Fall itself, I think that the in-ring action was all good to great. Some of the matches on night one didn't really get enough time, and I think that may be because they were trying to do all the live crosses and all these things that didn't seem to work. But they kind of picked up on, when it came to night two, they kind of picked up on what did and didn't work, and they did more of what did work and less of what didn't, which I think shows promise.
100%. Like you said, the crosses to the second studio, they really reduced that in the second one. They really got the live crowd more involved. For example, the Loverboy promo with Hustle and Flow in the second episode, when that came out, and they were, I think you gave feedback in your first review about how you wanted to see it on the entrance ramp. So they actually did something. Yeah,
like side stage kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did something similar to that, and the crowd was sort of buying into what was going on. Whereas I noticed there was some chuckling and stuff going on in the audience when they sort of went to those studio promos. So, yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess if you're going for cheesy throwback, it works. But I don't think, even if you're going for cheesy throwback, I don't think you want a studio audience laugh track kind of situation.
No, not at all. They would have wanted something.
Unless you're going for Southpaw. If you're going for Southpaw, then maybe.
Yeah, I think they might have been hoping to get the, not to the crazy level of WWE, but to get the boos and the cheers, for, when, Robbie Eagles is giving a promo, or, when Gino Gambino is giving a promo. Getting that live reaction from the crowd. But I think it worked a lot better, as I said, when Loverboy and Hustle and Flow were actually in front of the crowd cutting the promo.
Yeah, because wrestling is, especially local wrestling, it's very interactive. It's an interactive sport, and it's an interactive form of entertainment. It's theatre in the round. And if you don't have the round and you're just playing to a camera, but not in a pre-tape setting, but in an actual live setting, I think it's like a whole different skill set, I mean, even when you look at things like Saturday Night Live or whatever, they still have an audience as well as the camera.
That's right. I think there'd be an element, if you're in the crowd too, you'd be thinking like, just bring them out here, just bring them out to us and interview them in front of us so that we can, dissect them, directly, look them in the eyes when they're cutting that promo, as opposed to them staring down the barrel of a camera lens.
Yeah, that's why I like the things that WWE do with Renee Young when they're on the stage, at the side, on the stage. I think that's a good setup, personally.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Raw ditched the two studio. I mean, they do still throw to backstage interviews from time to time, but it's different there because they're in big arenas and you can still hear the crowd and all that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, you can hear it sort of echo through the building. Whereas, being in a separate studio that's contained, it's soundproofed, things like that, you're not going to get the same element. I reckon the wrestlers would feed off the echoing and the buildings on some of those Raw shows.
Absolutely. Some of the live crossed interviews from night one, I think we got a Robbie live cross, we got a Jonah, an Adam Brooks, and Gino, right?
Don't forget Dowie.
Oh, of course, and Dowie. Dowie playing with the fact that they're live. Can we just go from the top? But some of them were like the actual promos themselves were fantastic. Jonah's was a little weird. He's very obsessed with noses and which way they face.
Yeah. And then when he pulled the face that he loves to pull after as well, I think that just sort of put the cherry on top of quite a funny promo.
Yeah, and Gino did a similar thing when he was like, I'm gonna kick Jonah so hard.
Yeah.
and then he did the muscle flex at the end of the promo. Yeah. And so it really did feel like that 80s cheese. Like if you put the filter over it would fit on Southpaw Regional Wrestling, right?
For sure.
If you want to lean into that, I say lean into that and pretend you're doing a live cross, but pre-tape the promo.
Oh, 100%. But, Gino's was quite funny because he had that real seriousness when he was delivering the first part of the promo,
Yeah.
You need me to be the champion. It was a phenomenal promo.
It was a great promo. I loved it.
And, but then, he got to the end and as you said, he delivered that cheese so hard, and sort of said, well, I'm going to kick him so hard that, the next Jonah wannabe is going to feel it. It really did have that throwback that you suggested.
Yeah, so if it is intentional, if OneFall are going for the throwback thing, I say lean harder.
Yeah, definitely.
Lean harder in every aspect. And that's part of it as well. I felt like the overbooking came into that. So a lot of people who were watching live, I felt, were saying it's so overbooked, none of this is making sense. And I was thinking the same thing, but I was thinking it while having a giant smile on my face. And you can say, yeah, you have a smile on your face for the wrong reasons because you're laughing at how ridiculous this booking is. And it's like, yeah, but I'm still laughing.
That's right. You're engaging with the product. You're not...
I'm having a good time.
That's right. You're not sitting there sort of just blankly, processing what was going on. You're having a smile. You're reacting to what's going on. That's just as important as, as being right into it,
Yeah. How did you like Crackerjack as the voice of the people, though?
Can I just say that I love Crackerjack? I think he was a real coup for OneFall Entertainment to pick him up.
Oh,
absolutely.
Whatever he's being paid, triple it.
Yeah, 100%. His commentary is so good because you get his personality, you get the mad bastard, but then you also get fantastic ability he has to sort of explain the wrestler's psyche. There's a real great balance there. I really, really appreciate him on the mic. I really do.
Yeah. Well, to highlight one of those moments that you talk about, just his amazing explanatory powers, was they made it. Smack Daddy, unfortunately, called attention to the fact that all of these promos are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, they all think they're going to win. And Crackerjack just says, well, of course they all think they're going to win. Like, if they said anything else, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
But he then went on and explained that, all these boilerplate, answers. I think that was the word he used, boilerplate. Like,
That's
it's
right.
Generic answers that we're getting in these promos. Yeah, I'm going to win. I'm going to kick your head off, rah. He's like, all these generic answers, it's just them keeping their strategy close to their chest. We're live. They don't want to reveal too much of what they've got going on. And it was brilliant. I was like, that makes it make sense. And it also pokes fun at how cheesy it is that they're all saying the same. Like, it was, Crackerjack really brought a perfect blend of the cynical viewer with just lean into it. It was a really perfect blend.
That particular part you mentioned, as soon as I heard him say that, I thought, you nailed that. Like, you really took a situation that Smack Daddy, made a little bit awkward, and you just turned it into something, and you tied it together, and, they are trying to keep their plans close to their chest, as if they're going to tell everybody what they're going to do when they get in the ring. I just thought it was so clever. Like, he really picked up the pieces in that particular scenario, and he was doing it the whole night, as you said, triple his salary. Absolutely.
Yeah. He like just through the entire show, especially on night one, but night two as well, but especially on night one, because night one felt a little more chaotic, a little more in shambles. And he was this one constant, no matter what else is happening, I'm going to give you the goods. And it was, whatever he's being paid is not enough.
No, well, that's right. And I think it's important to note, in the first episode, I believe Smack Daddy was the one announcing the wrestlers to the ring. Crackerjack took those reins in episode 2, and I really felt the difference when he was announcing these guys to the ring as well. I think it really put a good emphasis on the wrestlers as they're making their way to the ring, sans an actual ring announcer.
Yeah, there was a big difference on night 2 with that stuff. Like the overall general presentation of being a live in-ring wrestling show. First of all, the crowd was bigger on night 2 as well. The crowd was bigger, the crowd was louder. That helps when you're presenting a live wrestling product on TV. But yeah, having a ring announcer taking the reins, having Crackerjack take the reins, I still feel like I would prefer them to have an actual in-ring ring announcer, because I'm old school. I like that, guy in the suit standing there and being like, to my left or in this corner or whatever. I love that. I think that gives it an extra feel of legitimacy, like these guys are about to go at it.
Yeah, 100%. It's part of the presentation. If you want to try and show that it's sort of a prize fight, if you will, like if they're sort of referencing boxing or something like that, you have to have that ring announcer. You have to have, it's all part of the presentation. So you have the commentary team, but then you also have the ring announcer that, as you said, standing to my left or making their way to the ring. This is a championship match or a number one contenders match or whatever. They really give that context to what's going on.
Even in your less traditional settings, or even in less traditional ways, like if you look at like Chikara, and he gets everyone slapping the mat and saying main event, or like Jim Smallman over in Progress, he's cracking jokes and stuff. But I do think it helps to have that person who is separate from the commentary, separate from, because I mean, even Melbourne City Wrestling do it. Like Lord Andy Coyne gets off the desk and does the ring announcing, then goes back to the desk, and I'm not even necessarily a huge fan of that. I like to have a dedicated ring announcer. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're heading to PWA next Friday. I'm going to be there as well. Diego is the perfect example of a solid ring announcer. Like, he gets in there, he makes the jokes, but he really, really does a great job of announcing the talent as well.
Diego's another guy that I would say whatever he's being paid isn't enough. I think in Aussie wrestling, it's confident to say that about a lot of people. So,
for sure.
Yeah. No, he does a fantastic job. I'm really looking forward to getting out to that show, catching up with Diego and just commending him on all the work he's doing, because it's fantastic.
Oh, he gets a mention in my reviews every time because he does such a great job, and the fans love him as well. They chant his name, similar to what Jim gets in Progress. Because they love his work and what he does.
Yeah, and he was at the World Series Wrestling show as well, right? He did the...
Yeah, I believe so. He did New Japan, I think, as well, the New Japan tour in Sydney.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's getting his little moments, but yeah, PWA, they just adore him. They chant his name, and he loves it too. He's so genuine. You can see it on his face. He loves it.
Yeah. Well, that's what wrestling needs is genuine personalities that are turned up and that are willing to like go out there. I mean, I think you have to not be afraid to be a fool and stuff. And I think at certain points, I wasn't sure with One Fall. I wasn't sure if they were taking themselves too seriously or if they were so not serious that the seriousness was part of the joke. Like I was analyzing it on a very meta level.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's intentional and what's not.
Yeah, it was hard to get a read on it, to be honest.
Well, night 2, what about Sid Parker? He did the green screen, right? And he does the attack, and he wears green face paint, so his face camouflaged in with the background. Now, I'm actually told, I thought that this was just an oversight. Like, I was thinking to myself, how did someone let this fall through the cracks? But Sid was like, I know my magic. That was intentional. That's what he said to me on Twitter. And I sort of spoke to a few people, and they were like, no, they practiced that earlier in the day to make sure it would look okay.
well, Sid's going to hurt you the next time he sees you, Greg. So.
Well, he already kicked me in the balls at the last time he was in Adelaide. He didn't mean to.
Well, imagine what he's going to do now.
I know. I'm putting myself on his radar in all the wrong ways. I want to get an interview. I want to be the first. I want to hear Sid speak. You know?
Yeah, same.
Properly.
Same. But here's the thing, Crackerjack again, sorry to come back to him again, but he mentioned the fact that he was a chameleon against the green screen.
Yeah.
So again, that even if that wasn't intentional, but you're saying it was, but even if you're saying it wasn't, the way that Crackerjack sort of jumped on that opportunity, I thought it was awesome. Snuck up, chameleon on the green screen to attack Fox. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, whether it was intentional or not, they made something good out of it. And I did find myself quite often when I looked back, because they were the streams were still available for 24 hours after. So I did go back and I rewatched certain bits and pieces. And I'm finding myself asking, like, yeah, how much of this is intentional? I felt like the cheese in the promos was definitely intentional. I'm like, they've got to be going for a throwback vibe. Because when I spoke to Chris, he was talking about, the early days of Raw and stuff. So I felt like they're definitely going for that, but I'm like, how much of it is intentional and how much of it is something went wrong and we're capitalizing? And then I found myself asking myself, how does it matter at all?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there were definitely elements of the throwback and the cheese, but at the end of the day, for me personally, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I just tried to take it as much at face value as I could, and yeah, I love the wrestling that we got. We got some great, some solid matches.
Let's talk about some of the talent. Two guys that really stood out to me. This was my first time seeing them. I heard about them. They did a stint over at EPW where they did something like 28 matches in 7 days when they did the Perth show. It was Jet Ruka and Tyson Baxter. Yeah.
My first time seeing the Mile High Club as well, and they were fantastic. They were really good. Had that match against Animalistic in night one. Unfortunately, they paid the price of an angry Sid Parker at the end of that. But man, super talented guys. I definitely want to see more of them. 100%. I went and searched them out on social media to try and follow them and learn more about them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get their at handles off you because I wasn't able to find them, but I definitely want to because they caught my eye. I felt like on night one, the big thing to me in wrestling is playing your role, right? And a lot of people don't want their role to be the guys that just get the shit kicked out of them and squashed because there are egos involved in this sport of professional wrestling. And these guys went out there and they sold like motherfuckers for Animalistic, even though the entire story of the match was Animalistic breaking up and having their feud, even though it was their first ever match as a team. But Ruka and the Mile High Club, they went out and they played their role perfectly and they allowed themselves to fade into the background in the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. They just took the ball and they ran with it. And it was an opportunity for them to do that on a live stream, as we've talked about. Sometimes you just put your ego to the side and you say, well, you've got to look at the bigger opportunity here, which is to get eyes on your product. And, that's going to be more bookings for them. They did a phenomenal job in this match against Animalistic, and they did very well on night 2 as well.
Yeah, so night 2 they had a more even match against Gentleman's Club. Gentleman's Agreement. Yeah, against Gentleman's Agreement, and it was impressive. They have some really impressive aerial offense. I feel like watching them against Velocities would be really entertaining. The Pareja in Adelaide, like they've got opportunity. I would love to see them booked all around the place.
Oh, for sure. Again, the ability to have this live stream, you would have had promoters, I'd like to hope, from Sydney, from Adelaide, maybe even from the Gold Coast, tuning in to see what was on display and saying, I'd like to see those guys in my promotion. So, there's every opportunity that we might see the Mile High Club earning some frequent flyer points and traveling interstate to do some other promotions.
Yeah, you would definitely hope so. What else stood out match-wise and talent-wise for you?
Look, I was really impressed with the opening match on night 1, actually, which was turned out to be a number one contenders match. So turns out you probably need to watch the happy hour programs that that are live on Facebook from One Fall Entertainment to get some of the backstory.
Yes.
But, man, I was really impressed with the three guys, Loverboy Lockie Hendricks, JXT, and Slade Mercer. The first match on a live broadcast, night one, and those three guys did a wonderful job. JXT's energy is always so addictive. It's contagious. He came out with his glow sticks and Slade Mercer, such a big menacing guy. And then Loverboy, well, he's, Loverboy son, so
that was a pretty good impression. Don't let him hear that though.
He probably thinks I'm a Momo, so yeah, who cares? But a really, really good match. Three very different guys that, JXT and Slade Mercer especially have been all around the place. Like Slade Mercer's been up in Hunter Valley Wrestling, up in Newcastle. He's been in Sydney, he's been in Melbourne, he's been all over the place trying to get his...
JXT and Slade are both characters that you can catch on Underworld Wrestling.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, and JXT in Underworld is really interesting. His character development in that is very interesting because he's the wrestler, the indie wrestler, trying to make it in an underground fight club, and man, what a great story that is.
It is, and it's turning him heel, which is interesting.
Yes, yeah, I love that.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I love the stories that Underworld are telling, but we're getting off track.
Yeah, we'll shout out to Underworld a little bit later as well, I think, because I do have a point that I want to make when we close things out. But no, I agree with you. That match was very good for what it was, I think, is the caveat I have to put there. It was way too short because these three, they can go out there and have like one of your solid, like, your Impact opening matches on Impact. They tend to have, I mean, like this week's opening match on Impact was the Lucha Brothers versus Willie Mack and Rich Swann.
Yes.
Right? And they get a good solid 12 to 15 minutes and they go out there and they just have a crazy good match. JXT, Slade Mercer, and Lockie Hendricks, while not necessarily at that level, are definitely guys that can go out there and have an absolute cracker of an opening match that can really set a tone for a show. But I felt like they were limited here by the time limit. And, it felt a little like maybe with all the live things that were going on, maybe there wasn't a lot of time to actually prepare for the match, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially for those early matches.
Oh, 100%. I think there would have been a mad scramble, a lot of stress in that building in the lead up to that first episode. So, yeah, I think I would have loved to have seen more time. Totally agree, because there wasn't a big crowd in there, but I could see them starting to draw elements out of that crowd, and maybe if they'd had more time, they really could have got that crowd involved.
Yeah,
but very good match for what it was, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that stood out to me, I mean, obviously anything involving, the top guys, Adam Brooks's, like the main event on night one was phenomenal. The night one show really lived and died by the main event, which was Adam Brooks, Jonah Rock, Robbie Eagles, Logan Gray, Dowie James, and Gino Gambino.
Yes.
I remembered all of them without looking at the notes.
You did.
So
you don't have to take it from the top like Dowie now.
No, but he included the nicknames. There's no way I could do that. It was pretty impressive.
It was very impressive. Very impressive.
But with names like that, obviously, this is going to be an amazing match. But yeah, night one really lived or died by that match. Night two had a couple of, I mean, not to say the undercard wasn't good on night one, but it's just, the main event was the focus. Night two, you had a lot more going. I mean, you had Jonah Rock versus Adam Brooks, which was fantastic. Logan Gray versus Robbie Eagles, followed by Robbie Eagles and Lockie Hendricks.
Yes.
So, I mean, there was a lot to talk about on night two in terms of in-ring. I would actually recommend, if you only have 2 hours, you want to watch night two.
Yeah, I agree. It was a more polished product, and the one-on-one matches, the three that you mentioned there, they were high class. You could expect to see any of those as main events on, an MCW card or a PWA card, or so. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Night 2 would be the one that I would recommend somebody go and check out if they had 2 hours to watch.
Yeah. And I want to shout out to Mike Chaos and Mad Dog, who I'm familiar with Mad Dog's work more than Mike Chaos. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with Mike Chaos at all. But they're a tag team in one fall called the Enforcers, and they make 0 sense. And like I said, I was smiling ear to ear throughout it because it made 0 sense. But for me, at least, in the best possible way, they interfered and attacked Mile High Club on night 1. They interfered and attacked on Mile High Club on night 2, just basically attacking the tag matches. It just so happened that Mile High Club were there. I don't think it was always meant, like, if that makes sense. I don't think they were specifically targeting them.
No, I don't think so. I think they're just trying to make an impact in the tag team division. I think you could hear Mad Dog after, I think it was on night 2, he said, now this is a tag team. So, yeah, I think they're just trying to make a name for themselves in the tag team division.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden they're backing up a good old awkward Phil, who we should touch on Phil too. Phil is so awkward.
He is so awkward.
And I don't, again, it's one of those things, I don't know how intentional it is, but at a certain level I enjoy it.
Yeah, the guy's a comedian, so I think he does have that sort of awkwardness that's part of his shtick. But I think as well, I think he sort of plays on the intimidation factor of being around wrestlers. I mean, he's not a wrestler by any means, and then he's got these big guys sort of getting in his face like Gino Gambino. Loverboy, when he had Hustle and Flow there, saying, "You and what army?" I think that it's definitely part of I think he plays on it a lot.
Yeah, the awkwardness. It's like your Michael Cera, now I just want Michael Cera to interview wrestlers. Holy crap, why did I say that? Now that's in my head. But yeah, there's that awkwardness when he came out and he was like, there's a chain of, and he couldn't even get his full sentence out.
Yeah.
Chain of what? And that's just against like Loverboy and Nick Berry and Kaz Jordan. Like, imagine what he would do if he was out there, if the Enforcers weren't the ones backing him up, if he had to actually tell them down. That'd be interesting. But yeah, they came out to back up the authority figure situation. It was all nonsense, and I loved it. And then again, Crackerjack, voice of the people, straight away just being like, none of this makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, even after they attacked on night 1, the Enforcers attacked Mile High Club, leave them a battered mess in the ring. You get over to Crackerjack, and he just says, this is just total chaos. He's like, I can't follow this. He's like, cats and dogs living together or something like that. It was just absolute gold.
Yeah. This is just becoming into the Crackerjack appreciation hour, I think.
Oh man, you got to give credit where credit's due. I think. He nailed it.
Yeah. So overall, I think One Fall was entertaining at some points for the wrong reasons, but unless they intended that, and I don't know how much it was, but at the end of the day, I don't think it matters. I think that I personally was entertained, and that's what matters to me. So I enjoyed the 4 hours that I spent with One Fall across night 1 and 2, and I definitely saw huge improvements from night 1 to night 2, and I even saw things that I put into my review. I feel like they read the review and maybe even took my feedback on board, which I felt very loved. But I also felt like that's awesome that they're willing to see what people are saying and sort of feedback on that. So if you watch it and you give them feedback, whoever you are, if you put it out there in the universe, they may see the feedback and they can grow from that and get better.
Well, and that's it. And doing it in a constructive way as well, rather than just hanging shit on them. Just give that constructive feedback, like you said, like that perfect, the entrance side ramp interview thing, which I think they've read your review and followed personally, but I think something like that is a very constructive piece of feedback, and it looks like they've taken that sort of thing on board. But what I'm excited about is these were only the first 2 shows. There's 2 shows next week, and then there's 2 shows the week after, right? So we're going to see more growth from them, and it's going to be it's going to be really good by night 6 to look back and see how far they've come in those 6 shows.
Yeah, there's room to grow, definitely. And some of the talent, I mean, they've got Street Gang Hooligans lined up for night 5 and 6, I think. So there's definitely some big things. I will say as well, I wasn't a fan of Robbie winning the belt night 1, dropping at night 2. I don't like that kind of thing. That's just me personally. I understand why it had to be done with dates and all that sort of stuff. You can't always get the people you want for every date you want. But for me, I think that having a longer reign on your first champion, like, so maybe give it to someone local straight off the bat.
I agree.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah, to have somebody sort of hold it and give it some prestige straight off the bat, I agree 100%.
As opposed to, like, there is also that thought that you can lean on the name. So World Series Wrestling do it as well, because now in their title lineage, you've got Johnny Impact, you've got Brian Cage, you've got, but they realistically they held it for one night each.
That's right.
Not a huge fan of it, but I understand the thinking behind it. So now you can always say Robbie Eagles was the first One Fall Openweight Championship, and Robbie Eagles is a name that now has worldwide clout.
Oh, 100%. And what a year that guy's had, you know.
Yeah, and perfect transition into WrestleRampage, because blew up my match of the year rankings list with his match with Nick Golfus. But let's get to WrestleRampage. They decided on Friday, they announced it, we're going to go live on Cleeng as well. And I haven't posted my review yet, so, well, by the time people hear this, I have. But so the first line of my review says, with all due respect to One Fall Entertainment, this is how you present live Aussie Grapps. Because to me, what I love about wrestling is the wrestling show.
Yeah.
And this was a wrestling show that just happened to be live streamed.
Yeah, but that you nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. They just presented it as if it was, because I watched Ground Zero on demand and did a review, and I've now watched this one on live stream, and it was, but All or Nothing and Ground Zero were exactly the same, except I watched one live and the other one on demand. So they presented exactly the same.
Yeah. And I think that One Fall could watch, All or Nothing, watch the WrestleRampage All or Nothing and say, okay, so that's how you do the live wrestling, and then add to that the cuts to the backstage interviews and things like that. Because I think that does add something. Like the bit with Animalistic, sorry, we're going back to One Fall here, but the bit with them, with Sid Parker attacking Fox backstage, and then they brawled off camera, and then they ended up finding their way into the arena. That kind of stuff is awesome when you pull it off. And adding something like that into what we had from WrestleRampage, like, that would be amazing to get to that level.
Absolutely agree. And it something like that, it would really sort of add to the product even more. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they need to have a look at what sort of WrestleRampage have done here and try and emulate that into that format that they're trying to work with currently.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast, B+ players, but I just need to take a second to tell you about Threadbox. Threadbox is a subscription service for men that makes looking good easier than ever before. Just fill out a few questions to start building your style profile, and from there you will be paired with a stylist who will send you new threads once a month, so you don't have to worry about checking the stores and finding new clothes. It's like having a personal shopper and stylist at your fingertips, and you just sit back, relax, wait for your awesome new gear to arrive in the mail. They sent me a box this month. I got a new pair of jeans. I got 2 shirts. You can check out the unboxing video on the Facebook page. And the best part about it is you can get in touch with your stylist by email at any time. So if you need new singlets, if you need new long sleeves, if you need new shoes, if there's something specific you want, you just let them know what you need and they'll tailor the box to your specific requests. It's a completely personalized service available on any budget. You'll always get way more value than you pay for because Threadbox work with all the best brands. Boxes start from just $40, and if you use our code, the B+15 at checkout today, you're going to get 15% off your first box. So what are you waiting for, man? Like, if you want to look better with less effort, head to threadbox.com.au and use the code the B+15 to get your box today. So WrestleRampage, like you said, it's just the product that they would normally put out, but it was live, and it was a great show to go live on too. It was an emotional roller coaster. I mean, we got a Joni May turn, the Golden Girl of Adelaide Wrestling, the Golden Girl of WrestleRampage, and she's joined Mike Boomer
I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked. All in caps on my Twitter. Why, Jody? Why?
Yeah.
Couldn't believe
I was in shock. And I actually noticed too, there were like 4 or 5 tweets in a row from different people, all with the hashtag and just being like, why? No, you can't do this. It was an amazing moment. And to go through that with other people and with the live crowd was something else.
Oh, it was awesome. So many times I've watched a New Japan show live and then got involved with people on Twitter. To be able to do that about a WrestleRampage show, about some Aussie Grapps, it was unreal. It just added to the experience so much.
It was next level. I do want to point out, though, I want to add this to anyone who goes to... If this becomes a thing, and these, like, say, PWA picks this up, or MCW picks this up, or whoever else picks this up, to people who are attending live, don't text your friends that aren't there live, because Aiden was at the show, and he messaged me, and of course, when you're going live over the internet, there's like a 7-second delay or something. And so I already clearly saw, like, when Joni got into the ring, I'm like, oh, she's going to turn here. Because I watch wrestling, I know how things work. But he messaged me and he was like, oh shit, she turned. And I'm like, oh, I haven't actually seen it yet. And then just after I registered what he wrote, I saw the chain and the punch, and I'm like, okay, so now it's happened, I can tweet about it too. But it was just one of those moments where if you're there live, remember, you're on at like a 7 to 15 second delay.
Yeah, they've got to cover they've got to cover themselves with those sorts of delays for the live stream. So be a good friend. Don't be a spoiler.
Not that Aiden's not a good friend. He didn't realize that we were running a little behind on the live stream. Yeah.
I stir. It's all good.
Yeah, but I love what Mike Boomer and co are doing. So he started this a couple of shows ago. It was at the show at Fowler's. I can't remember what it was. It was the one with the death match between Tyler Trench and Jonah Rock.
Yes.
And yeah, he started it at that show, and yeah, he got someone in from the crowd. So basically he's talking about we're all dirty sinners and stuff. It's kind of a religious, similar to, the Tyler Jacobs and the Children over in Perth.
Yeah. It's got that real, that real religious following. He constantly references the Almighty.
And the higher power.
Yeah.
It was me, Boomer. It was me all along.
Exactly. But it really has a great feel to it, and to add Joni to the mix, is awesome. I think he's really got a couple of. If he's the shepherd, he's got a couple of really good sheep there in Brother Bellows and Joni May.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. The whole kiss the boot thing. It's next level heat, and the crowd hate it, and that's what you want. I'm still in shock because Joni's so sweet, and she gets along with the crowd, and she's so nice, and she comes out, she says hi to everyone. And now I'm like, okay, so I know that when wrestlers go full heel, they tend to stay in the back, they don't come out to the merch desk and stuff. And I'm like, that's a presence now at the live shows that's going to be missed. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, because they, if you recall, when they opened the show, Luke Hazard sort of said, well, Joni May's going to be in the crowd taking photos and, use the hashtag WR all or nothing. And, and then a match later, or 2 matches later, she's turned. So.
Yeah, it was, you're right. I completely forgot about that, but that makes it even more shocking. It was one of those moments, and I'm very glad that I got to experience it live. So hats off to WrestleRampage for doing this as a live stream, man. We also saw Einar Ironside returning to the ring here in Australia. So he's been off doing his thing over in Europe. And that match, the tag match, it was Tyler Trench and Einar Ironside versus Vanity Inc., Big Willie Gibson and Havoc. It was just a bunch of big boys doing big boy things.
I love big boppers in wrestling, and this was 4 of the biggest boppers just going to town on each other, even though one of them was dressed up like an elf. But
what was with that? The green and red.
It's the greatest contrast ever, right? Because Ironside is so intense as like that Viking character, and then you've got Tyler Trench, who is big and menacing, but then he's in red and green stripes with, like a big elf, oversized Christmas elf. It was good.
Yeah. It was It was interesting because you got this guy that looks like God of War, Kratos, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's tag teaming with the biggest Christmas elf in the history of Christmas elves, except for Braun Strowman when he did the elf parody.
Of course, I forget.
Forget that he did that. But yeah, that match was amazing. And then, like I mentioned, like I referenced before, Robbie Eagles. I mean, you expect the goods from Robbie Eagles, no matter where he is, no matter who he's working. You always expect the goods. But Nick Golfus is a guy that I am a big fan of. I'm a big fan of his commentary as well. When he joins the commentary booth, he is like an encyclopedia of professional wrestling knowledge.
Oh, the guy just loves wrestling. Like, just eats, breathes, sleeps. Yeah, just all wrestling all the time. And it shows in his passion in the ring and on the microphone. And, man, my notes for this match, I just literally wrote, wow, what a fucking match. That's all I wrote.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It felt like this would have been at home. I know that Robbie just got home from New Japan, but it felt like this match was straight out of Noah.
Oh, man, the stiffness on the strikes. Like, they've obviously just said to each other, go hard. Like, let's just go hard. Let's tear the roof off the place. Because, man, some of those strikes, I was like, I was cringing. They went hard, man. The forearms and the
kicks, especially those soccer kicks. Like, I'm a big fan of Adam Brooks. People know this. I'm a Brooksy fan, and I've had people on the show before who aren't Brooksy fans, and I had to go into Brooksy defense mode. But I'm a big Brooksy fan, and Brooksy does that, on the ringside, on the apron, does the soccer kick, the punt kick,
yes,
sort of thing to the outside,
yes,
and I'm a fan of that. I love that move. But Golfus just took it, and this was the best version of that move I've ever seen. Just the way he connected it, and he stopped where he was. He didn't follow through, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
like it connected so hard that it even stopped him in his tracks.
Yeah,
and it was incredible.
I'm just so blown away by how good this match was. As you said, a lot of people would have set what their matches of the year were. They might have a top 5, and this would have just made you think twice about that list. Like,
yeah, this is definitely in my top 5. I'm gonna have to rewatch it and rewatch the other matches again in sequence that are in my top 5 to sort of decide where it's gonna sit. But this is a contender for match of the year in Australia.
Absolutely, yeah. It has to be in the discussion. And it's crazy looking at somebody that's so experienced like Robbie Eagles, and to be fair, someone like Nick Golfus, who hasn't actually been wrestling all that long.
This year. I think this is his rookie year.
It's unbelievable what they produced. So impressive, and Nick Golfus deserves all the love and respect. I saw one of the guys from On the Turnbuckle on Twitter basically imploring Melbourne companies to book Nick Golfus against some of their top talent, which was awesome to see, because the kid's got it, and he deserves all the love he's getting.
Yeah, and Robbie has just hats off to Robbie, because he's made Nick Golfus within Australian wrestling overnight as well. The combination of the fact that this was on live stream, so people everywhere could watch it, and people are excited about the live aspect, so more people did jump on to watch it than maybe would have gotten it on demand. And so more people have seen this match on night 1 than normally would have, and people are talking about it, which is great. But the thing to me is as well, after the match, Robbie picked Golfus up, took him by the hand, shook his hand, and said, I see something in you. I want to mentor you. So now we've got the Sniper of the Skies mentoring the Sniper.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're going to get some tag team matches out of them.
I'd love to see these guys work together. As a tag team, it'd be perfect. They've obviously got the Sniper monikers, both of them. It'd be amazing to see them work together more, because there was some chemistry there for sure, and what they put out there on live stream and for all those in attendance was something very, very special.
Yeah, just looking at like you said, the top 5 lists and blowing it up. Like, the other names in my top 5 list for Australia are names like Damian Slater, Marcus Pitt, the Street Gang Hooligans, so their match is in contendership with me. So the Street Gang Hooligans, they're guys that have been doing this for a while as well. Robbie's in there, Gino's in there, Slex is in there, Brooks is in there. Look at these names, and then, Nick Golfus. He's been doing it a year, and he's on the list as well. So it's good company to be in, and yeah, I can't encourage people enough. If for nothing else, you need to get this show when it becomes available on demand. Like I said, I think the live stream may be up 24 hours. I don't know. I haven't checked this one. But by the time this show comes out and people are listening, it's too late. But when this comes out on demand on Vimeo, you need to watch Robbie Eagles versus Nick Golfus.
Absolutely. It's worth the price of the pay-per-view alone. If the thing costs you $7-8, even $10, this match is easily worth that. It is a world-class match, and you have to see it. You have to see it to believe it.
Yeah. Tommy Knight's another one who's only in his first couple of years, I think, and he has it. He has a match on this show against Link Barnett. I felt like the match went a little long, in my opinion. It was sort of, I felt like Tommy Knight should have been a little more dominant as opposed to the even match they had.
Yeah, I agree. He really did pick him apart at the end. Tommy Knight really just dominated Link Barnett at the end, but as you said, it was a very even contest for quite some time. And considering Link Barnett, was sort of stepping up to heavyweight. I mean, the last show he was in the Cruiserweight Cup match. It should have been a bit more one-sided in my view as well. But Tommy Knight is a monster. He is a monster.
He's definitely one to watch.
From Jonah Rock. But, oh wow, unreal. The strength. There was one move there where Link Barnett sort of went up for a Frankensteiner, and he caught him in the air, and he was holding him up in the air, and it did end up being a Frankensteiner. But man, I just was so impressed with the strength and the power of Tommy Knight.
Yeah, that Frankensteiner spot, and in some instances the timing as well. There were some mistimed things like roll-ups and stuff, but the timing of the sliding lariat into the double foot stomp was impeccable. And it frustrated me that the commentators said that he was trying to get out of the way of the leapfrog. That's not what he was doing. He was going for the sliding lariat, like Tomohiro Ishii.
That's right.
But yeah, which you can tell there's an Ishii inspiration there, I think.
Oh, I think he loves the Stone Pitbull. He just, his attire, wears the towel over the head. Yeah, he loves him. You can see it.
Yeah, so I think we can start calling him Tomohiro Knight.
I love that. That's worked out very well. Tomohiro Knight. I love it.
Yeah, that's my official name for him from now on. Sorry, Tommy. Please don't hurt me. Tomohiro Knight. Because if I'm wrong, I don't want to be hurt.
You're making enemies everywhere.
That's what I do.
Parker, you're going to want to just stay home from now on, I think.
It's what I do. It's what I do. I feel like I won't make an enemy talking about Mr. Juicy here, though. Mr. Juicy returned. Instead of the Gino Gambino that we got at One Fall, who was sort of the new Gino. Because I feel that's always the question when Gino's booked on a show. Do we get the new Gino or do we get Mr. Juicy, right?
Yeah.
And both of them are off the charts entertaining in their own ways.
Oh, 100%. 100%. The Mr. Juicy character is so iconic. It is hilarious. And then you have that menacing side of Gino as well. The side that I think in Underworld they say is the mafia boss. Just a bad guy, and every bit of the super heavyweight that he is. So it is exciting to sort of speculate as to who you're going to get. And that was the good thing. Just a slight detour to the Progress Open Challenge that he had against Trent Seven. He was the menacing Gino, but he had the Mr. Juicy elements of comedy in there as well, which is, it's awesome. I really do appreciate what Gino Gambino brings to a wrestling match.
Yeah, similar when he did Iron Fist Pro. He sort of had the elements of Juicy at the beginning of the match where he's like, oh, you want me to run? Oh, okay. But then at a certain point, he sort of rolled out of the ring and he switched on new Gino and he got back in and he was vicious. And the fact that he can even switch between the two in one performance is probably even more impressive. But the guy is fantastic at what he does and highly underrated. And as well, given a shout out to our friend on his way to the ring, he looked right down the camera and was like, Aussie Gifts. And and that made me very happy because the Aussie Gifts Twitter is one of the best things in professional wrestling. Full stop.
Oh, I love it, I love it. And the fact that the Aussie Gifts Twitter account was doing a lot of WrestleRampage stuff, so they were watching it live too. So they would have seen that little shout out. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And as the Aussie Gifts guys were on it in the main event. Oh, I just want to touch on what Juicy did here as well, without giving the entire thing away. But he played off the fact that he received a concussion or a stinger on Wednesday night at One Fall, and he had a helmet and a neck brace, and the whole thing was amazing. And you need to watch it because they come into play in the match, obviously.
Yeah, it was
against Dean Valenti. We should mention his opponent because Dean Valenti is one of the names flying under the radar as well here in Adelaide. He's fantastic. He does great work,
and the crowd hate him as well. He really brings out the ire of the crowd. So
yeah, we got our first "You Are a Wanker" chance, which is it even an Aussie wrestling show if you don't hear a "You Are a Wanker" chant?
True. Yeah, it probably is not unless you do tend to get that out of the crowd. So well done, Dean Valente.
But in the main event, Robbie Hart versus AJ Styles versus Rat Daddy versus Damian Slater versus Jonah Rock. Main event. Gorgeous Greg Graham, who was in the opening match as well, he comes out and puts himself into the match, but immediately gets eliminated. But this match was incredible. Elimination matches, multi-man matches aren't generally my bag. It's not really the thing I love about wrestling. But this was a fun one.
It was an incredibly fun match. Seeing the last pay-per-view Ground Zero, seeing everything sort of break down, and this match got announced. I was a bit funny about it as well. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, especially, the story between Rat Daddy and Jonah Rock. But man, these guys just put on something very, very fun and exciting. We saw some high spots, even from Jonah Rock. Jonah Rock hit a big suicide dive onto the outside. Rat Daddy, he is a madman.
Yeah, he has zero fear.
I love it. He walks out, enters the ring, goes, hold on a second, goes back, brings out, he knows it's no disqualification, brings out all the weapons, in the trash can. Something similar to maybe like an ECW Extreme Rules match that you might see the wrestler walk out with all the weapons ready to go.
Yeah.
But man, what a great contest with a lot of different styles all together in the one match, and it worked really well.
Yeah, and touching on Rat Daddy and his nature as a madman, he went up top and dove off the second floor balcony onto all four of the other competitors. And Aussie Gifts were on it straight away. I was like, I hope you got that, Aussie Gifts. And they were like, yeah, we got it. And then posted it straight away for us. Oh. And it's incredible.
Was it like a 20-foot dive? Like, it was insane, and credit to the guys on the ground, because that would have been a really difficult spot. And, it was crazy. They pulled it off immaculately.
Yeah. And the best part of the story of this match came towards the end. So we got, obviously, I feel like Rat Daddy really, really got some shine in this match, because Rat Daddy immediately eliminated Gorgeous Greg Graham, which was one of the big moments in the match, the immediate elimination. He also hit that huge suicide dive. He brought the weapons into play. He was really the star of this match, which given the names that are in there, like Robbie Hart, like Damian Slater, AJ Istria, and Jonah Rock, Rat Daddy was the star of this match. Do you feel like, is that safe to say?
I think it's very safe to say. The crowd love Rat Daddy. They absolutely love him. They were cheering him on the whole time. He was the most over guy in the match, no doubt about it. And yeah, like he has no fear when it comes to entertaining the fans. He'll do anything that he can to put on a show, and he definitely did.
Because later in the match, I got worked, man. I got worked. So we'll go through the eliminations. we had obviously Gorgeous Greg Graham eliminated first.
Damian Slater removed Robbie Hart.
Right, yeah.
And then Damian Slater was probably a bit too excited about what had gone on there, and Rat Daddy took him out.
In another memorable moment in the match. So immediately after the elimination, Rat Daddy capitalizes on the fact that Damian Slater is obsessed with Robbie Hart, and he rolls him up and he gets the victory there. So Damian Slater's out of the match, and it came down to Jonah, Istria, and Rat Daddy. And this is where the storytelling really came into play, because you have the Rat and Rock connection,
yes.
Rat Daddy and Jonah, which, I mean, Jonah did do some teaming up early with his TMDK brethren, Damian Slater as well, but it really came into play when it came down to the three of them and that interaction between Jonah and Rock. But the best part was there was an apron clothesline and Rat Daddy went down, and I thought he was legitimately hurt. I got worked. I completely got worked. I thought he was hurt. The commentators were saying, look, we're checking on him. It looks like he can't compete. He's got to go to the back. And he was helped to the back. And so the commentators made it sound like he'd been officially removed from the match. And I thought it was a shoot.
Look, man, I put a tweet out when it finished and I said great storytelling. So I'd be lying if I didn't say that I got worked as well. They did such a good job. I thought, that he was gone. They even sort of panned to him and the medic. And I don't know if it was Jonah looking at the medic, but the medic sort of nodded. They did such a good job.
Yeah, I thought I heard, I don't know if it was a camera guy or if it was Istria or one of the wrestlers in the ring, but I thought I heard at one point, someone yell, "Is Rat okay?"
Yeah.
And it didn't sound like it wasn't coming from the crowd or anything. It was definitely someone camera side. And the little things like that made it feel like, okay, so Rat's actually injured and they may be making something up on the fly to cover for things. And even the fact that the match slowed down for a little and they went into a couple of rest holds, it made it feel like there's a legitimate injury happening outside the ring and they're figuring out what's going on.
That's right.
It was very well done.
Yeah, but what happened after that was something truly special that I popped pretty hard for, I have to admit. Jonah Rock being the next elimination, and then sort of going to the back and on his way to the back checking on Rat Daddy and saying to Rat Daddy, you have to get back in there. You can't quit. Get in there. And
you have to win that belt.
That's right. You've got to win that belt, So, and then Rat Daddy basically dispatched the medic.
Yeah, well, the medic was like, no, he can't compete. And, Rat Daddy just super kicked his head off.
It was, as you said, Rat Daddy was the star of the match and yet another great spot. Something else that I want to mention as well, when he sort of went into the trash can to pull out his weapons, pulled out a cheese grater, but then he pulled out the bigger cheese as well. And
the block of cheese.
Yeah, I popped.
Yeah, how can you not? He ended up eating that block of cheese. Not literally, like he ended up being hit with the block of cheese.
Yes, he did.
So, but yeah, these two then went on to have an insane, hard-hitting couple of minutes to close out the match. That super kick through the chair.
Wow.
Holy crap. So he obviously did the chair spot. They were hitting with the chair, and then Rat Daddy hit the super kick, and it actually hit the square part of the chair, and his foot went straight through and still managed to connect with the face.
Oh, it was unreal.
Insane.
Yeah, go onto Twitter and follow Aussie Gifts, and they've got that one as well. Wow. It looks so cool to watch it back, actually.
Yeah, I retweeted that one as well, and I'm like, it looks like Rat Daddy's coming for Paris de Silva's crown as Gift King.
Oh, yeah. Two massive viral-worthy moments there. I'd love to see Rat Daddy versus Paris in a match down the track.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rat Daddy has that virality down from the entrance. Like, he has a memorable look. He has I joke about it. I'm like, what is the gimmick? I don't understand. Is he a pimp? Is he actually a rat? I don't understand. But but that's part of the brilliance of it.
Yeah.
It's very engaging.
Well, that's the thing. I think initially it was kind of the Riff Raff character, the rapper Riff Raff, sort of mixed in with the Spring Breakers, James Franco character. But then it's definitely evolved from that. It is not that one-dimensional. It goes a lot deeper than that. Like, you look at the promo that he did, the video in the lead up to the match with Jonah Rock at Ground Zero, the No More Cheese, where he comes out of the dumpster and then he finds Splinter at the end of.
Yes,
it's unreal. Like,
I want that to keep going. By the way,
man, like unreal. Like, he's so entertaining. He's one of the most entertaining wrestlers in Australian professional wrestling at the moment.
Look, and he's a smart kid too, because his merch, right? Like, yeah, it has the picture of the new shirt that he's put out. He has it in multiple colors. I think it's yellow, pink, and white. I think. Don't quote me on that. But he's got multiple colors, and it's got an image of a rat, but it just says in cursive, "Daddy." Right? So you've got the rat, and then you've got Daddy, right? And that has crossover appeal.
Absolutely.
That shirt.
Absolutely.
Like, because, there's who's the daddy, all that sort of stuff. People like to wear shirts that say daddy. I've seen girls walk around with shorts that say daddy and stuff. So he's smart man. He has that crossover appeal there as well, which is really cool. I love that in a wrestling shirt, especially for it to be a shirt that could be anything. I love that.
Yeah. Well, Jesri, I think, is the name of the designer. He's done some stuff for Robbie Eagles as well. And I think the Nick Golfer shirt that you were referencing as well. Doing some incredible work there. And those designs are going to send me broke because I love them.
Me too. Every time they come out, I'm like, God damn it, there's another $20 gone. But it's totally worth it. Totally worth
100%.
it. But we've talked all this entire match. We've talked about Rat Daddy and how much of a star he is, and I really think this match is a star-making performance for Rat Daddy, who was already looked at as a star here in Adelaide. But we got to talk about AJ Istria, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yes.
Everyone's heard about him. Not many people have experienced his work. He came up for PWA for the Coliseum. He is one of the best wrestlers, capital W wrestler, in the country. And he ends up getting the win.
Yes, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Not enough people know about Punch Drunk Istria. Get onto PWA Play and watch the Coliseum match with Jack Bonza. Get onto Vimeo On Demand and watch him wrestle Damian Slater in one of my matches of the year at Ground Zero, WrestleRampage Ground Zero. The guy is a technical master. His style is amazing. He's got the technical wrestling. He's got the MMA style as well. And yeah, as you said, wrestler with a capital W. He brings that style better than almost anybody. You put him up there with Jack Bonza and Damian Slater is probably the best three technical wrestlers in the country. And again, a star-making performance for him as well in this match, eliminating Jonah Rock, which was incredible. He took the champion out before the end of the match. The champion didn't even make it to the final.
Didn't even make it to deciding the belt, yeah. And he got his eliminations by submission, too. Has to be noted.
And I love a submission victory. There's not enough of them in wrestling, in my opinion.
No.
So to see Istria get out there and win by submission was amazing.
Absolutely. And so we have a new Australian national champion, and what was probably, again, with all due respect to OneFall, the best live wrestling show I watched this week.
There's no doubt about it. OneFall deserve a lot of credit for what they put out for those two shows, but WrestleRampage, they went out at the end of this year with an absolute bang. The matches throughout the card were amazing. I mean, we didn't even touch on Gorgeous Greg's opening match with Corey Adams as well, which was a great match.
Right, yes.
So there was a lot to like on this card, and I saw a few tweets from people saying it was the best opening half of the show because Nick Golfus and Robbie Eagles came on before intermission. And followed up with three fantastic matches again with Valente and Gambino, and then Barnett, Tommy Knight, and then, of course, that incredible main event, which AJ Istria, we now have the Punch Drunk era.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. WrestleRampage is going to be amazing in 2019. I think all of Adelaide wrestling is really heating up at the moment as well. There's some really interesting things happening. So maybe we're a little bit behind. Maybe we're still on the "you're going to notice us" phase. But I think with this, people are noticing.
And an important thing to note: Damian Slater sent out a tweet. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but he basically got there and said that after he moved away, to come back and see that there's guys there carrying this promotion that have less than 2 years experience. And he basically wrote, Adelaide is going to be just fine. So I think that's a big tip of the hat as to where they're at when you've got somebody of the experience of Damian Slater who's basically saying that they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and I think something that's key to that as well in Adelaide is a lot of the companies, and it's something that's come up a lot on the Aussie Grapps episodes that we do, a lot of the companies are sort of sequestered away, like they only work their own talent, and that kind of thing. And it's very unfortunate, especially for like these WrestleRampage guys who are so good, but only have 2 years or whatever, to have them step in the ring with someone like a Basso or a Katie Trey or a Marvel from Riot City, who have a lot more experience and are a little bit better traveled as well. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, Rampage, they're still working with guys like Istria, they're working with guys like Rock, they're working with guys like Slater, but I feel like there is a better spread of experience around that. Having somewhere like Iron Fist Pro, which is expressly said, we want to book anyone and break down those walls, and they're working to. And I know politically it's a whole process, but if we can find extra, like new promotions pop up where people can work together to get that extra experience to cross over, I think it's going to really, really blow up, and we could become the hotbed in Australian wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. There's some phenomenal talent coming out of Adelaide, and yeah, it's really good to see a promotion like Iron Fist Pro starting to do their best to break down some of those walls, in wrestling politics, to try and get some of the best and brightest together to put on a show that will, send Adelaide to the next level. But WrestleRampage, I have to say, fantastic show. I was so impressed, and the fact that I got to see it live was so much better. It just took it to that
from the comfort of your home in Sydney.
Yeah, that's it, man. I've been recovering from the flu, and to be able to sit here and have a cup of tea and watch some high quality wrestling from the comfort of my own home live, and it was Australian wrestling. It was Aussie Grapps. It wasn't New Japan. It wasn't WWE. It was Aussie Grapps. I want more of that. I really hope that more and more of the promotions around the country get involved.
I hope so too, even though it will send me broke.
Yeah.
But for each individual show, a $10 price tag is well, for me, it was well worth it being in there live and getting on Twitter and interacting with other people, experiencing this thing live. And it's, like you said, it's Aussie Grapps. It's our guys. It's mind-blowing stuff. 2018 has been surreal.
Yeah, and it really sets the platform for 2019. This is the last month of the year that we're in now, and we've seen this new piece of technology being utilised by Aussie Grapps promotions. Imagine what they're going to do in 2019 if we saw a PWA or an MCW or such do something like this going down the track. I mean, there would be no FOMO. We'd be able to catch things live. We wouldn't miss out and have to wait, for, like, even Pro Wrestling League on the Gold Coast, to have them do something live with this technology, that'd be incredible.
It would be amazing for Queensland too, because I absolutely love what looks like an amazing show from Pro Wrestling League. That first show looks fantastic. And I love the idea that they want to, like, because what we're all about here at the B Plus is building up the scene, pumping up the promotions, and getting everyone working together and getting it out there, right? Really taking that now we conquer ethos and being like, let's do it together because we need to do it as a team. And Pro Wrestling League, at least from what I've heard and from what I've seen, it feels like they're on board with that as well, and they have that same ethos, which I love. So.
Yeah, well, it's an inspiring ethos to, like, now we conquer, and the way you do that is to take these big steps forward and put out live product. It can be hard to get people to watch something that's on demand where the results are already out there. So to be able to get there and have the live product, you're watching it live, you get on Twitter, and you're reacting with other people as things are going on. Like, there's just nothing like it. And, we need to try and get more of it somehow,
Yeah, definitely. So any Aussie promotions out there that are listening, check out this Cleeng thing, because as a consumer, I'm super excited for more of this.
As am I. As you say, I might have to take up a second job as like an Uber driver or something to fund my live wrestling addiction. But it'd be well worth it. Well worth it.
Before we close out, I just want to say the biggest difference, I think, between these two shows, because like I said, this episode of the podcast was originally going to be just talking One Fall exclusively and sort of breaking it down and doing what we do there. But of course, we had to touch on Rampage jumping on the technology as well. They kind of stole One Fall's thunder a little. And I think it's important to talk about why the Rampage one was so much more enjoyable, at least for me as a wrestling fan. I think an Underworld was the great touchstone here in the middle. Is you're looking at a TV product about wrestling versus a wrestling product that's on TV.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like Underworld marries the two together because they definitely are specifically produced for TV, but they're a wrestling product first. Their live shows are phenomenal, and they've found a way to cut that together with promos and stuff, more like a old school 90s ECW vibe, with the and all that stuff that they do. It's perfectly in the middle, and Underworld is, I hold Underworld up as a shining beacon of what Aussie wrestling can be. So I'm a bit biased there, but that's the difference to me. Was I like a wrestling product that finds its way onto TV as opposed to a TV product that's built to try to showcase wrestling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And that's why I think WrestleRampage was so much more successful, because it was just their live show, but it just, that the audience gets that's there live, but you get to watch it from the comfort of your own home. I definitely admire what One Fall are trying to do to put a TV product together. But I think what you were saying in your reviews is, take the elements of the live show and incorporate them with the promos in a live format as well, and you're gonna get success. Like, you look at like the SmackDowns and the Raws, like they do their things where the wrestlers are walking to the ring and they cut a promo in the ring. So, and one of the promos of the night 2 was Dowie James getting up on the table to announce the lads.
Doing the lads introductions.
Man, that was the best announcement of JXT I've ever seen. Just and then calling himself 10 foot tall and from Autobot City, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And there's just something so much more about them getting out there and doing it live. Like WrestleRampage, they could have had someone walk out and cut a promo live to the crowd. So I don't know why One Fall couldn't do the same thing. I don't think they need to worry so much about that second studio.
Yeah.
Phil, if he wants to interview people, can bring them out into the live audience and allow them to interact with the wrestler. Boo Lockie Hendricks or cheer Robbie Eagles, or whichever way the fans lean, react to what's going on live as opposed to watching it on a screen. And yeah, as we sort of touched on, you get chuckling in the background and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. Nice, constructive place to leave it. Where can people find you, Dan?
Quite simply, I'm just mainly on Twitter, so that's at P&R Wrestling. I've also got the potato and receipt wrestling.com, which is where I have my blog. But I contribute to the B Plus as well, write articles for the B Plus. So definitely look out for my work on the B Plus. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's all right. Some of my favorite articles too. Am I allowed to have a favorite as an editor? I think that's it's like having a favorite kid. I probably shouldn't do that. You can find me at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. We collectively are the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter, where you can catch all the things we put out. The B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. Like, share, subscribe, hit the 5-star review if you feel so inclined. And thank you, as ever, for listening.
Hold one. Arm drag.
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
So, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy. Hold three. The moss covered. Three-handle family good uncle.